I almost didn't make it here. Like here, right now, talking to you, on the carnivore diet, thriving, doing things, living. One thing almost stopped me from even trying it. When I first started researching carnivore back in 2022, even though it made perfect nutritional sense and all the testimonials were amazing, even miraculous, I believed that unfortunately it would never be something I could even attempt. Not because I don't like meat, but because I don't have a gallbladder. I was under the misguided impression that the carnivore diet would never work for someone like me, and not only that it would probably be harmful and maybe send me to the hospital. Obviously, none of this was true. Today, I want to share my own personal carnivore journey, letting you know what it's been like with no gallbladder for the past 3 years. I want to also bust all the myths surrounding the carnivore diet and having no gallbladder, and dive into how bile is produced by the liver, the true function of the gallbladder, and how your body does adapt to a high-fat carnivore lifestyle without one. I'll also talk about some of the initial digestive challenges you might face when transitioning from standard American diet to carnivore without a gallbladder, so prepare for some poop talk. And I'll share my top tips on how to make that transition smoother, right here on the Carnivore Science Channel. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Liz. I'm a medical technologist and pharmaceutical chemist with over 30 years of experience in the pharmaceutical and medical industries. So my gallbladder was removed in about 2013, and I had a really rough time that entire year. If you never had a problem with your gallbladder, you wouldn't know, but it's the worst. It's really painful. Before I was diagnosed and it was removed, I had terrible attacks that sent me to the hospital in an ambulance. At that, it was really painful. And since the pain translates, it spreads and it kind of feels like it's in your chest. So after the first attack, they did a bunch of cardiac testing, focusing only on that. Didn't find anything, charged me like $6,000 and sent me on my way with well, your heart's okay. And that was it. Thanks a lot, mainstream medicine. But I digress. So, of course, I had another attack, and since I had done a ton of research since the last visit, when they started to do all the cardiac testing again, I was like, no, I refused. And I said, you need to do an ultrasound and you need to look at my gallbladder. They did, and what do you know? As it turned out, the gallbladder was necrotic. It was a mess, and they had to remove it. I feel like I need a discount or a commission for that visit, but nah. I think the surgery sent me back like another $2,500 out of pocket. I should have asked to see the manager for the shitty service I got the first time, but it would have been futile, of course. But anyway, fast forward to 2022. For years, I believed the common wisdom. No gallbladder means no high-fat diets whatsoever. So when I first heard about the carnivore diet, I immediately thought, nope, not for me, not going to work. So I was convinced that because I didn't have that little storage sac for bile, that my digestive system just couldn't handle all that glorious animal fat. I pictured undigested fat just, well, let's say running straight through me. And trust me, the thought of that was not a fun one. We're talking about explosive exits, people. But the kind of bathroom trips that make you question all your life choices, But then I started doing serious research, not the mainstream propaganda that if you have no gallbladder, you must avoid all fatty foods. Looking back, I realize how utterly dumb that advice is. But as they say, hindsight's 20/20. What I discovered by listening to ethical, truthful physicians like Ken Berry and Anthony Chaffee, it blew my mind. It turns out a lot of what I thought I knew about the gallbladder and fat digestion was way, way off and just completely wrong. So let's break it down. What does the gallbladder actually do? It is a small organ that stores bile produced by your liver. Bile is made up of bile salts, bilirubin, cholesterol, and electrolytes, and it helps emulsify fats in your small intestines, making them easier to digest and absorb. Think of it like dish soap breaking down grease. Now, here's the key. Your liver still produces bile even if you don't have a gallbladder. The gallbladder is a storage unit for the bile. It also concentrates it, making it a little more powerful. Then it releases the bile when it's needed. Without it, the bile drips continuously into your small intestine instead of being released in larger amounts when you eat a fatty meal. So, the idea that you can't digest fat without a gallbladder is a big fat lie, and they know it. Your body is incredibly adaptable. When you start eating a higher fat diet, your liver ramps up bile production and your digestive system gets more efficient at processing fats over time. Now, let's talk about why my gallbladder went rogue in the first place. For years, I bought into the idea that fatty foods were the culprit. And if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. Diets high in animal fats were to blame. But the science actually points to something very different. Excess carbohydrates and chemical-laden processed foods can wreak havoc on your gallbladder. They can lead to the formation of gallstones and massive amounts of inflammation. Ironically, the very foods that I thought were safe were likely contributing to the problem. And think about this. If you're consuming a high-carb, garbagey standard American diet, what do you think's going on in your gallbladder? Well, we talked about how its job is to store and concentrate bile. So it just sits there, filled with old bile that continues to get more and more concentrated, never being released because you're piling on carbs and eating junk that the body barely recognizes as food at all, and avoiding animal fat at all costs. Ingesting animal fats, on the other hand, especially in their whole unprocessed form, would have actually triggered the release of the bile so that it can do its job. It wouldn't get all hard and nasty and rot in there. Ugh. Okay, so I learned all of this in 2022 and I decided to take the plunge into the carnivore diet. And let me tell you, those first few weeks were interesting to say the least. Remember those poop jokes I was talking about? Yeah, they became a temporary reality for me. My digestive system was not exactly thrilled with the sudden influx of fat. I wasn't used to it. There was definitely an adjustment period. But here's the thing, it gets better. Your body does adapt. To help things along in the beginning, I found a few tips and tricks that made things a lot easier. First, you start with smaller, less fattier cuts of meat and smaller meals, and you just increase it gradually. Second, I made sure that I chewed my food really well because this gives the enzymes in your stomach, they have more surface area to work with. And third, don't chug a gallon of water with your meals. It dilutes all of your digestive juices. And remember, don't eat if you're not hungry. That's always a problem no matter what's going on. But for this reason too. I will add here that in the beginning, some well-intentioned individuals recommended bile salts as a supplement. I did that early on a couple of times, but after doing more research into it, this supplement really will just interfere with the adaptation process. I didn't need it either, just time to adjust. But you know my motto on this type of thing, you do you, and now I feel amazing. The digestive issues are a thing of the past, but the benefits have been life-changing. Since going carnivore, I have lost over 100 pounds and every single medical issue is gone. My energy levels are through the roof. My skin is cleared up. I feel more focused and just overall healthier than I have in years. And I sleep like a rock. All of this is possible, even without a gallbladder. So if you're out there with no gallbladder and you're curious about the carnivore diet, but you're worried about trying it, I hope my experience gives you some encouragement. Don't let all the myths hold you back. Listen to your body, do your research, and know that there are many of us out here without gallbladders thriving on carnivore. Have you tried the carnivore diet without a gallbladder? What was your experience? Share your tips and stories in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to, subscribe for more carnivore content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.